Shifting gears on a motorcycle shouldn't take forever. In this video, I'll show you how to set up your clutch for maximum control and lightning fast shifting. I actually have two setups, one for a thick glove and another one for a thin, for when it's extremely hot. Either way, I'm two-finger shifting. By doing two-finger shifting, your clutch does not become a slipper clutch overnight on its own. It's not going to add to its mechanical complexity, okay? It's just going to be an ordinary clutch. But any clutch, like I said, can be set up for two-finger shifting. Two-finger shifting allows for the best control because I always have my ring finger and little finger wrapped around the handlebar for balance and control. And these two fingers can do the shifting safely and well enough. It's easy to see that this is the full range of the clutch lever, that by operating the clutch only this much takes a lot less time than pulling the lever all the way in and all the way out. To operate the clutch safely, you actually only have to operate it here in the friction zone. The clutch does not need to travel all the way back to the handlebar and all the way out for shifting. And that has to do with how the clutch actually works. In this second part of this video, I'll show you what happens here. Let me show you the friction part here. The friction zone on the clutch starts about here. The clutch here starts dragging the bike somewhere here, and it's fully engaged here. And the clutch fully disengages the engine from the rear wheel here just by pulling about an inch on the ball end of the clutch lever. If you look at it, you only need to pull an inch or about 3 centimeters tops. So on the travel, on the full range of the clutch lever, there's 3 distinct zones: the play, the friction zone, and then there's nothing here. Let me explain. The clutch's function is to disconnect the engine from the rear wheel. Most of the time, the clutch is engaging the rear wheel and connecting the rear wheel to the engine. You only need to disconnect the rear wheel from the engine temporarily when you're shifting gears, particularly at low speeds. This is made sure by this play. The play is nothing else than the cable, the clutch cable here is intentionally left loose to ensure that there is no internal slippage inside the clutch mechanism and all of the clutch's power is transmitted to the rear wheel. So that's why you gotta have a little play here. Also, the length of the play can make it work for you no matter how long fingers you are or how big hands you have. So people with longer fingers have a little less play, and people with shorter hands would like to have set the play closer to the handlebar, because at the end of the play, that's where the friction zone starts. And the length of the throw on it, if you look at the ball end again, is about an inch or 3 centimeters. After the friction zone is cleared with the lever, this part of the movement doesn't add to the operation of the clutch and doesn't engage or disengage the clutch any more than it is. Let me show you something about the clutch. On the other side of the bike where the clutch is actually, let me just take you off the mirror stem here. There, come on along. So, when you pull the lever here, it operates this cable, it pulls that cable, and a cable on the other side comes out here and moves that piece of metal there. Let me just do this for you. There, see? And that 1 inch of travel at the end of the clutch lever only translates to about a quarter inch of movement on this cable. Through mechanical advantage, it's been calculated like so. And inside here is the clutch. Now how the clutch works is fairly simple. It's got a bunch of these inside discs, and these discs in operation are all squeezed together very tightly by massive spring power. Those springs connect these plates, and the engine's power is transmitted to the rear wheel. When you pull the clutch lever in, the springs disconnect, and there's going to be gaps appearing between these discs. These discs rotate. Half of them rotate all the time. You can see that these discs have, okay, this one has tabs on the inside and no tabs on the outside. And the next one has tabs on the outside and no tabs on the inside. So, let's say, because I can reach the ones with the tabs on the outside, let's say those ones rotate all the time. The tabs with tabs on the outside. There. And they rotate together. They rotate all the time, and they are turned by the engine. When the clutch is engaged and the lever is pulled, there's going to be gaps between these discs, so only the tabby ones, the tab on the outside, only those spin. As the clutch is slowly released, these gaps become smaller and smaller and smaller. At one point, they will start dragging these ones with them. So the rotating ones that are rotated by the engine all the time will start dragging the stationary ones with them in the friction zone. When the friction zone is cleared, then all of these are squeezed tightly together and they all rotate together. When you pull the clutch lever in again, there's going to be gaps appearing between these two, just about 1/1000th of an inch or 100th of a millimeter. And that 100th of a millimeter gap allows some slippage to happen, and that's your friction zone. So you see, any clutch can be set to work towards the play, because that's where they work anyhow. That's where the friction zone is. And this friction zone, by mechanical advantage and engineering, is made short here. And once a clutch is disconnected, it is disconnected. So by pulling the clutch lever even more beyond the friction zone, it doesn't disconnect these discs any more than they are. Once you have a gap in between them, the stationary ones remain stationary and the spinning ones will spin. So that's why any clutch can be set up for 2-finger shifting, and you really need to operate the clutch only about this much, and you can set the distance between the handlebar and the friction zone to your finger's length. I'll show you how in another video.